All right. Stand Up Friday, September 16th. Caroline, I'm glad to
Okay,
see you.
so
What's up with you?
apart from everything. So I had two things. One is I think that this caching issue that I was having last week was, Michelle sort of helped me figure it out. It wasn't just that I duplicated one question and copy and paste in my interview. I think I duplicated the whole interview.
Mm.
So I kept making changes in one part of the interview, but then the other part just kept running. I think I'm really hoping that that's what it is, because it was driving me insane. And she did find, and I thought I'd searched for it. So that was one issue. And then the other issue, maybe I should save for the grant partners meeting. And that is, if the interview is embedded, I don't think there's a way to start a new session. And so maybe that should be a grant partners thing rather than you know what I mean? So if you're halfway through and you decide you want to start over again, and start over isn't an option in the interview. So the question is, should we build it into the interview so then I don't have to worry about how it's embedded? Or anyway, that's my question right now. And Bryce, I just completely forgot to push that thing to GitHub about the expenses and stuff. Since I told you I'd do that 2 weeks ago and I just forgot. But I think my brain was starting to break down last week.
No worries about that. I think I had ended up talking to Quentin a bit about how differently to do the income stuff, and so
yeah. Okay.
It would probably be useful to have everyone look at it like once I have
absolutely.
the more general way of doing that sort of stuff in the income module, just to make sure that is the way. Since
And then I guess my third thing, which I'd forgotten, is that in the morning last week, or after I talked to you guys, after we had our meeting, the forms person and she's an attorney who writes the forms, and then she's got somebody doing the forms and Document, and they're going to try and tackle the child support guidelines affidavit, which is complicated and has a lot of these features. And she seemed to think that she can do a lot of what we're doing in Document, but I'll wait and see before I jump in. But they also were talking about how they're working with TrueFile, which is a Stanford thing. And right now they're not really happy because they think that there's a standard they're trying to do. I'm not using the right language, but there's maybe some sort of standard that they have to use so that they are required to include some fields that they don't want to include in order to e-file, and not be able to include the fields that the court really wants to be included in the e-filing. And so I think they're feeling a little bit disillusioned, but they're also on the wait and see how this works out thing.
So it's interesting. My understanding of the Fair Filing Project, which is the Stanford project, is that in all the jurisdictions except Texas and one other, that they're going, which is not Alaska, that they were going to file using email filing. So then they wouldn't be using true filing.
Huh.
In which case, then you could the agreed upon data is just what everyone agrees upon what the form should look like.
Right. So and well, there's going to be some data, right? Some like name and I mean, there's some.
Well, it'll be an email that comes over with a PDF, and
that's it. However, that's all there is.
That's what it sounds like right now.
Huh.
Maybe they're changing their mind as the rubber
meets the road. Because I'm not on the committee.
Well, they're gonna. So I do think that I mean, we can't necessarily do e-filing with because it's a whole new system.
Right.
But I think we probably could give them something that they would like more using DocAssembly to create that PDF.
Yeah, I'm really out of the loop, but I keep pushing. And I think the strategy at this point is wait until they get to, I think they have to follow through this lead because that's what they've committed to. And this is what they do. And then we'll see where they are at that point. That's what it seems to me. Cause I just can't, I
Yeah,
keep saying, we really ought to talk to Quentin and David and Brass.
well,
But they
at some
don't-
point, the fair
yeah.
filing project people are probably going to ask us if we want to help build things. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But we're not going to want to build a whole new. Now, of course, since we have the relationship with you, we
Mhm.
might want to think about our long-term,
Yeah. I
play
mean, I
for
have to get my
refiling,
feet
but-
further under the table with that as well, as well. But
But we, I think we'd very happily help you make a name change form that you just want to email to the court. You could do that. You could do it in a week.
yeah.
Is True Filing a brand name? It looks like it's Image Soft that makes it. Is that their brand name?
I don't know.
State,
They
or-
just, I mean, because Jeannie's on the committee and I think she's got her plate full. So I think she has a pretty good grasp of things, but she also has the same kind of grasp of somebody who's a manager rather than somebody who's involved in anything. And so I think it's a little bit fuzzy. And anyway, but that's what they're calling it, True Filing. And they also said they're doing it through Stanford. So I don't get it.
I mean, that really just means that they've been in these calls with Stanford. That's honestly all that Stanford's doing is setting
Stanford's
up
not
calls.
doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure they know that. I'm not
Well, I
sure
think they're
Jeannie
trying to
knows
build
that.
this like standard pleading, but then they're going to want someone else to set up a way to email file it. They
So
figured out with the consensus. They're
you're
connected
saying
to people.
Stanford's building a standard pleading? Is that what you're saying?
Stanford is.
Yeah, they're helping coordinate getting a
They're
Stanford.
helping coordinate
standard pleading.
several jurisdictions to agree upon something that all the jurisdictions will take.
That's the sticking point. That's what they don't want. That's what they don't want to do.
That's the core of the project. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. And that sounds, very Stanford, like, let's all agree on one thing and apply it everywhere so it's easier, which I'm not opposed to, except that it doesn't work. I mean, if we have a hard enough time getting unified courts within a state, but it's worth, trying to get there.
Might be fun to just build the name change form that you guys have it ready and be like, done.
You mean for e-filing, you mean?
Well, for this email filing equivalent,
Oh, I see.
because that's,
Well, they're doing some e-filing now, but not in the Anchorage courts. And I'm in the Anchorage court. So, I mean, last Friday was the first I heard of it. So I'm really not, I need to learn more about what's actually happening here.
well, it all sounds interesting. I love hearing the sort of reflections and echoes of what I imagine are the conversations.
Yeah, it's definitely whisper down the lane. So
Um,
that's me. Don't want to.
all right. Well, that's interesting stuff. Quentin.
Well, I this week worked on some back end stuff for the Weaver and reviewed some PRs from Bryce. Bryce reviewed that one. So very unexciting visually, but hopefully like a little bit cleaner code base for the Weaver, a little easier to read. More of the stuff's abstracted. What we're trying to get to is a world where you could run the Weaver totally in Python code without having to use a DocAssembly interview interactively. And that'll help us with doing testing to make sure when we make changes to the Weaver, we don't break it more efficiently. And also let us run it in bulk on, let's say we have our data set of 20,000 states to create a draft interview for them without having to do it interactively in any way, or try to automate and click buttons in a browser, pretending to be a person. Today I was working something a little bit different, working on like trying to make an easier interface for the translation system in DocAssembly, and also help get an accurate word count when you send a file off for translation, something that I was spending a little time on today. next week I'll probably pick back up on the Weaver stuff and see if I can keep working, making progress towards that idea of letting you drive it totally on the Python code side. So that's kind of where things are.
I like the idea of batch processes. Bryce.
Yeah, so I spent the past few days trying to wrap up the Illinois stuff. I think there's like one remaining thing, and that's trying to figure out how we're doing jury filing. And it should be doable. It's just more changes. And also trying to wrap up the affidavit supplement. I've made the bulk of the actual structural changes for the AL income stuff there, and it's just a matter of trying to go through a lot of the other suggestions that I've gotten for it and be like, this is MVP, this is not MVP. I will probably shunt 75% of them to not MVP, because some of them some of them are useful, and other ones are like, the only thing that's going to be using this is it's going to be like, I don't think it's ready for like by itself release, and I also don't know if it makes sense for by itself release, because you only ever file it when you're filing a normal affidavit. And so essentially I'm just going to try and only integrate it in the one appeals form that we're sending in for refiling. And so we don't have to worry about like case information and like a lot of other smaller things like that aren't the core of the form. But I am rushing to try and do that because I know I had said that I would have tried to have both of these interviews done, and they're just long. And
to be fair, for the appeals stuff, you did have to wait a while for stuff from them. So I think that they'll understand if it's a little. Don't kill yourself is all I'm saying.
And Carol and I can both tell you how long it takes to do a financial statement. That was like 3 months slog on. But some of the work's done now. That's why he kind of came up with the income class and some of the directions.
Yeah.
But it's slow and hard to do that kind of thing.
Yep. But yeah, so that's just going. I don't have a ton of other things. Miscellaneous PRs that I make while I'm waiting for DocAssembly to refresh. I've done, but nothing super important. That's it.
All right, cool. Michelle.
Hello. I've mostly gone down kiln rabbit holes with some maybe some big goals we had for security and stuff that weren't required, but would just tighten things up. Gonna have to make some decisions there that probably there's no ideal solution, but might get people's eye on that if I get a chance. Other than that, I don't remember what I've done. So
Fair enough.
there we go.
Juanita.
Hello.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm doing the phone because I remember last time it was very bad on the actual Zoom with my voice. So are y'all able to hear me
Yes.
clear?
Yeah.
Or am I still bad?
Wonderful.
Okay. So
yes.
I basically I did look at through all the stuff that Quentin had sent me, and from what I saw, it looks very good. I am definitely interested in helping any way I can. So that's basically where I stand still.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all wanted me because it was such a bad echo to try to restate what I was trying to say yesterday, last time, but y'all good?
I think we're good. We hear you fine now.
Okay.
So yeah, we had I guess I'll segue from your update to my update because we had a little chat And I think
Yes, we did.
what we're going to do
Yesterday.
is we're going to give Juanita a couple of things. She's going to sort of play around with DocAssemble for a while and
Yes.
sort of do the hello world, try to run something through Weaver, get a feeling for it, and then we can start
I
to
worked
think
with Weaver
about,
before, but that was
yes.
like a long time ago. I didn't know they were still using Weaver, but yeah.
Well, no, not Dreamweaver, but this is
No.
our Weaver product.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Weaver product. Okay.
Yeah, so it's something Quentin largely wrote. But yeah, so we'll do that, and we'll see how things feel, and then we'll try to go from there.
Yes.
But yeah, and that's kind of my update too, I guess. My only other thing is that Quentin, Bryce, and I have a clinical faculty meeting in 10 minutes, so we will not be around for Casual Friday. So if there's nothing else, we can do Casual Friday for like a couple minutes.
Well, I actually also have a class, so I have to get ready for. So
that makes sense.
But I greatly appreciate.
Oh, Quentin wants to know anything.
So
to
I
share
thank y'all for everything.
we did have a meeting with some of the Michigan folks about things for the Weaver, which will likely come out. And Bryce, you weren't on that. It was a thing with Quentin and I, but we can fill you in. And there are a couple of things they asked for, like frequency of engrams within the corpora, and maybe some fuzzy matches, and maybe scraping out case numbers. Some of which we think are probably easy lifts. So we can get you, we can talk more about that and think about additions to the PDF parser to pull some of that stuff out. Some of them are they're like easy libraries, like one of the NLP libraries we have has, and citations. So we know there's a good citations library to pull out legal citations to case law and such and statutes. So we can just plug that in, see how it does. And also there's one that one of our NLP libraries already does for engrams. So we can plug that in and see how that does. And so it was a nice conversation because they had some wishes that some looked like low hanging fruit that we could add. And they're going to think about some things that maybe are other additions. They seemed relatively positive about what was already there. So that was nice. Anything you want to add to that, Quentin?
No, I think that captures it pretty well. It's like the right level of detail probably for this call.
Yeah. I always forget about that. That is a larger part of the assembly line, but it is definitely all related.